Hello, I'm Jo, and welcome to the Midlife Entrepreneur Podcast, a new show that's all about building a business in midlife. My guest this week is Julia Collins, founder of Collins & Green Art, a vintage art gallery based in West London. Established in 2021, the gallery specialises in affordable decorative vintage art, offering a diverse collection from abstracts and cityscapes to florals, nudes and still life. Although having always been passionate about art, Julia actually started her career in finance, where she stayed for 15 years before taking a sabbatical, as she calls it, and never going back. I really didn't like it, she says, but you sort of get caught. The pay was good, I travelled, made friends, got promoted, and so I stayed. It was during her sabbatical that Julia completed her Masters in History of Art at Christie's before getting married and having her twins, Fleur and Arthur. Julia spent the next 20 years happily bringing up her family until the time came for her to see them off to uni. And after crying for a whole term, she decided she was ready for a new challenge. And so with a few paintings she'd bought to sell, she took some photos, uploaded them brilliantly to Instagram, and Collins & Green Art was born. 4 years later, and with nearly 60,000 followers on Instagram, it's a thriving on and offline business that fits perfectly into Julia's life. I'm really fascinated by Julia's story because it really demonstrates that you can start a business at any time in your life. And as long as you have a passion and products people want to buy, anything is possible. Julia, welcome to the Midlife Entrepreneur.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
I'm really inspired by your story because I think it will resonate with so many people who will have taken time out to have their families and then been concerned about stepping back into work or having that huge break, or sabbatical as you call it, 20-odd year sabbatical.
Long sabbatical.
Long sabbatical. Tell me a bit about your family time and the journey that you sort of left the city, did some studying, and then the journey to having your children.
I left the city. I really had intended to go back, but I just wanted a break. And I did a course at the V&A and loved it. So then did my Masters at Christie's, which sort of took me up a level and which was really wonderful. I then got married and I was going to continue doing some sort of corporate art services or something, which at that stage was quite new in the city. And I had IVF and I went 6 weeks in, I went to the clinic to get the results. And the woman said, "How would you feel about 2?" And which obviously was the most wonderful, amazing thing I could hear. And I thought, I'm having 2. I'm just going to spend my time with them. I was in a position where I could do that. And so I decided to be a stay-at-home mom. And I loved it.
What I'm really interested about was the moment. So your twins, Fleur and Arthur, they head off to university. As you say, you were very tearful about that because you'd built this enormous sort of life around them and being very present in that and enjoying it. And so was it because you felt lonely, or what was the feeling that have inspired you to start doing it?
I just knew I wanted and had to do something with my life. I'd had a career, I'd had wonderful family, my wonderful children, we'd had a great family life, and I wanted to do something else. I wanted to do something constructive and something that would occupy me and that I would enjoy, because I was miserable crying for a term. I didn't want to spend the rest of my life crying. It was ridiculous, it was pathetic. So I just had to do something, and that's how it happened.
And so back to your art roots. But this is the bit that I think is really incredible, though. And I know that timing-wise, we're sort of around COVID time, aren't we? So potentially there was some inspiration there in the fact that you couldn't go out and sell any work because we were all locked in. And Instagram just blew up, didn't it?
Yeah, that's where I've really racked my brains, and I cannot remember the actual moment that I had that sort of inspiration that I can do this. But I was buying bits and pieces from women who were selling bits and pieces, beautiful vintage china or textiles or anything that they could find. And they were selling it on Instagram during lockdown. They were making a living of some sort out of it. And I thought, I can do that. And what do I love? I love painting. So I looked around a bit. And obviously I bought all of them online because there were no auctions, there was no shops, there was nothing. And it just grew from that.
But were you on Instagram already?
So I started on Instagram right at the beginning of Instagram.
Yeah.
And I did this little challenge thing where I posted a beautiful image every day. And I did that for a couple of months. And then I realized I was spending so much time on Instagram. I wasn't reading. I was on the bus instead of, just thinking. I was on Instagram. So I stopped. And I think I had about 80 followers or something. And I just stopped. I closed. I just
Stop doing it.
stopped doing it because I didn't feel it was a good use of time. And then, so I did have the account. So I just revived it. And during lockdown, we were all scrolling and looking for things to do. And that's how it happened.
If you could grow an audience during that period, it was a great time to sell things, wasn't it? And people were thinking about their homes a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that sort of started. And did you know the sort of type of art that you would want to, or did you just buy some pieces that you liked and then took it?
Even now, and this is a really key thing, I will only buy something that I love. And I'm not interested. If I don't like it, then I don't want to sell it.
No.
And in 4 years, I've bought 2 paintings from auctions that I really didn't like. So I left them at the back of my cupboard. And then I thought, come on, don't be stupid. You've got to get rid of them. Don't be so vain. Just put them on the website. And it's really funny. The same woman bought both of them within a week.
See, and you said
it's weird.
We can't judge what people will
Absolutely.
like. And also you don't know where they're going to put them.
Exactly. But it didn't change my view that I only sell things that I like.
Yeah. And how much time do you spend searching? I guess now that you're established 4 years on, you've got a sort of a well-known business amongst the people that you work with. Do people send you pieces to buy, or do you keep actively looking for them?
Both. So I spend a lot of time looking. I go to France, I go to Scandinavia. I have people now who offer me things. I buy from other dealers. A combination, really.
This actually sounds really dreamy.
It is. I'm really lucky. I'm incredibly lucky. I love it.
It's just you're doing exactly what you... This is such an example of that. And it really does... It's really funny because a lot of people say, oh, find your passion. And I think that's always quite a difficult thing.
Yeah.
What is my passion? Why should... if my passion is my work, how am I going to make that happen? And we hear a lot of that rhetoric. But actually, in the end, it's about really aligning with who you really are. And the artist in you, the person in you who's loved art, hasn't ever gone away. And so despite this huge gap in parenting and having your kids, then it was still there. It's still sitting on your shoulder.
Yeah. And it's a very important part of me. It's something... Yeah.
So tell me how you structure your business. How do you sell? So obviously online. So on Instagram is a big marketplace for you.
Yeah. Yes, without Instagram, I wouldn't have my business. I have a love-hate relationship with it, like I think a lot of people on Instagram and the glitches and all. Everybody, I think we all feel that. But no, without Instagram, I wouldn't have a business. So when I first started, I would put something on Instagram, and that was the only way I had, the only way to sell. And then about 3 months into COVID, I had my first in real life client. So she and her fiancé arrived with masks. I was wearing a mask. It was all... Anyway, we took the masks off and she's become a friend, and it was lovely. But so that was very much how I started. And then I got my website about a year in, and that sort of changed the dynamic of things. And then as the world opened up, increasingly people came to me.
Because you exhibit your work around your home, don't you? So it's a really integrated into your life business.
Absolutely, yes.
God, how nice is that? You don't have to leave the house.
No, I work from home. Yes.
You do, probably. Yeah. Has your art taken over somewhat?
Oh, completely. There's only one painting up, which is one from our sort of family, but because it's so huge that it takes up a whole wall and there's nowhere else to put it. Otherwise, I'm afraid it too would have moved. No, everything is
up for sale.
Oh no, it's all kept.
Yeah,
but it's all put in a different. It's all put somewhere else.
And so as you scaled up your business, were you having to learn new skills, or were you having to find people to design a website, build a website? Is it transactional, your website?
Absolutely. I am useless at anything technological. So yes, all that side of things I had to farm out, VAT and all that. I'm supported by a really good team of different people.
Yeah. That's what everybody talks about, is that as you scale...
You can't do it all.
No, you can't, and you're not expected to. No. But it's just interesting. I think some people try to, and that's where we come a cropper, because it's just, you can't do the thing that you're there to do, which is, in your case, is obviously source and find amazing pieces of art and then communicate with your customers, and that relationship obviously is important, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and that's my skill set. My skill set is not designing or building a website or anything like that. I surprised myself when I started with Instagram, because my first post of selling a painting, so I sat at the kitchen table, and I promise you it took me all morning to do one Instagram post. And now you just do them.
Yeah, good nature.
So you do learn. But tech is not my thing.
No, it's not anybody's thing, I don't think.
Exactly.
It's one of those, when I learned to try and edit this podcast, honestly, there were tears. Do you think it's harder the older you are, or the fact that you didn't grow up with the technology? I didn't really either. I mean, I remember we had a computer room that emerged as I was leaving school. And when I went to university, there was a computer room that was in the boiler room, and there were 3 computers in there. And that was what we had to do our dissertations on. So you had to book time to use it.
Yeah.
But do you think that those, like grasping those things, do you find that challenging, or have you actually found them fairly?
No, I find that quite challenging.
Yeah.
And I have 2 lovely gallery assistants. And very often it's, oh my God, can you come and help me? Or for things that are so basic.
Yeah.
And then I'm always they both know that I need to do it myself, so they can show me how to do it. And then I have to do it myself. Otherwise it just goes and I don't remember how to do it. If I do it myself, I can.
I'm exactly the same.
But you have to do it.
No, I'm exactly the same. When I was learning to do all this, I remember the lovely lady Juliet who helped me. I said, I can't just listen to you talk about it. I've got to do it.
Exactly.
Because I won't remember it. It'll just go out of my head immediately. So what I'm trying to get at is one of the things I hear a lot about, particularly with people who are over 50, is their fear of social media, their fear of getting it wrong. So maybe making a spelling mistake, or maybe saying something controversial. Everybody's very worried about. No, you wouldn't be necessarily for selling art. If you're selling a service, for example, there's a lot of fear around that. Was that something you had to work through?
No, fear is not something. No, I don't feel fear in my professional life, I think.
Do you think that's because you're older and therefore you give less of a shit about what people are going to say?
Absolutely. I worry and I have imposter syndrome and all those things. But in the end, if you like my painting, you buy it. If you don't, you don't. And I'm at an age where lots of people actually take retirement at my age. And so if it all goes tits up or rock, then I'll retire.
I can't see you retiring, Julia.
No, I don't think I will. But I'm not frightened.
What were the feelings that you got from starting? So you headed into business, you started off small, it was COVID or whatever, so pictures go up on Instagram. What has it given you having this business?
It has given me a purpose.
Yeah.
It really has. I get up in the morning. I'm generally a bit groggy and I'm not a great morning person, but I love what I do.
Yeah.
And so it's given me purpose and it keeps me busy, and that's great.
And so do you think it's given you energy?
Yes, I'm sure it has.
See, I've got a real theory about this, and I don't want to retire. I would like to carry on doing something forever.
Yeah.
And I think there is something about having a purpose, having a structure to your day, meeting people, connecting with people. And I'm not going to say the word relevance, because I think that we go through different stages in our lives, but we will be relevant to the people that we're communicating with at that time. I think there's something in that is so powerful.
Yeah. And it keeps you have a raison d'être. You keep going and you're contributing, and that's important.
Yeah. And you're making people really happy with what you do.
And I'm employing people.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm paying tax.
Yeah.
And those are important.
Yeah.
And we're told, actually, I have a bit of a bugbear about this because everybody's always complaining about tax, but people should be made to feel good. Nobody enjoys paying tax because you'd much rather keep the money yourself.
Yes.
But actually, it's a good social thing to do. People should,
Yes, because contribution is an important value to you, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
We spoke about the work that you did do some work in the time that you were bringing out the kids.
Yes, I taught French because I'm half French. So I taught French at their school, and then I worked with a local charity.
Tell me about the charity.
So the charity is called West London Action for Children, and it literally is in the building next to our house, which is very convenient. I wanted to be in some sort of social support function, and they support families and children with therapy and anti-bullying classes, and they do classes to help children move on to senior school and just early years and young children intervention, which I think is so important. Yeah. And it's a great little charity, and they have a postcard sale every year of anonymous, so you try and get famous artists and less famous artists, but just people to donate postcards, which are then sold, and the money goes to the charity. So I am now... Collins and Green is now the sponsor. West London Action for Children postcard sale, which was great. It was really fun.
Yeah, really good.
And my children did their DFE with them, and my husband is he's on one of their committees or something. But it's a great charity.
And it really also something that's so close to home is always so nice to be part of that community. And it's interesting because you've built a community around your business, haven't you? because I was interviewing somebody yesterday who said that she'd been to an event that you've held in your home. So tell me about those.
That was a sort of, I suppose in the old days you'd call it a coffee morning. But anyway, it was a whole group of women who had met, in inverted commas, through social media.
Yeah.
And it was organised by Catherine Elphick, who does my website, and me. And we invited various contacts and not really clients, but just more sort of contacts and sort of other businesses who use her.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was a sort of networking thing and it was really fun. So we're going to have more.
It seems really natural, all the stuff that you're building. And what's really fascinating to me is that one of the challenges that we have as we get older is that we lose network, we lose community. And you hear the stories all the time about people being very lonely. And what this business seems to have given you is a platform to do lots of stuff which really serves you as a person. The networking event or coffee morning or whatever you'd like to call it that you were describing yesterday. What a great opportunity to meet new people.
Yeah.
And connect with other business owners.
Absolutely. And I do quite a lot of things like that. And it's great. There are so many women, and they are mainly women, who have set up organisations, businesses, creative things, like you, this sort of thing. There are so many of us. And they're really interesting. So, yeah, it's great. Yeah.
And interestingly, what you were saying was that you've met a lot of these people via Instagram.
Yes.
Do you communicate and chat to people on Instagram?
Yes. There's a girl who helps me with Instagram, I suppose the tech side of Instagram, and we'd never met. And it was just so nice to meet her because we work quite regularly. And if I have a problem with Instagram, she sorts it out for me and that sort of thing. So it was really nice.
What kind of problems have you had? You haven't had your account shut down, have you? Before?
No.
Oh gosh, let's touch wood. No, because that's my biggest fear.
No, I haven't. Sometimes Instagram glitches or I don't know how to do something.
Yeah.
And also when she set my Instagram shop up for me, which I wouldn't have known where to start.
Oh, yes.
That sort of thing.
That needs managing, doesn't it?
Exactly.
It's really interesting. Where all the avenues, if you've got Instagram, you've got online and you've got in person, which one generates the largest revenue?
Absolutely no idea.
Oh, I love that you don't know.
And everybody says, oh, it's data and analyse your figures and all the rest of it. But A, I hate all that side of things. And B, I don't have time to sit and analyse all my figures. And it bores me and I'm not interested in it.
Yeah.
At a very rough guess, I would say 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, but that's really completely.
I think you're winging it.
I'm winging it. I'm absolutely winging it. I'm sorry.
No, but you know what? It's another example of the fact this is a business that you're passionate about, that you're doing, and it is thriving and growing. Because we did talk about revenue numbers I'm not going to say them on here, but we did talk about it. So it's a good business, and it is providing you with so much joy.
Yeah, it really does provide me with joy. Yeah, the thing that I worry or that I'm very conscious about is that I have framing bills, I have my 2 assistants, I have the girl who does my website, the one who does my emails, I have the guy who does my VAT.
Yeah.
So I do need to make sure that my turnover is high enough to cover all of that. And then I'd like to have a little bit for me too, sort of thing.
Yes.
It's not.
Of course.
There's always that in the back of my mind.
Yeah. And what sort of if something bothers you, what is it that bothers you the most?
I suppose the thing that I find the most bothersome and irritating is technology. Yeah. That's really the thing that we are so reliant on it.
Yeah, that's true.
And actually, that's another person. I have a fantastic guy who I can just ring up and he connects into my computer and then he can sort out all the computer issues and everything. There are all these people who I would just be lost without.
Yeah.
And they are a wonderful
It's really
team.
Interesting because one of the things that I noticed really stood out to me when I left corporate business and I went and started this thing on my own was how reliant I was on the people in the building to solve problems, because we all have tech problems all the time.
No IT desk if you are an entrepreneur. There's no IT desk.
There is no one to call. But even just so many small things, and you realise you spend a lot of your day trying to solve problems, and the thing that you really love and the reason why you're doing it often is the thing that we're doing, but it's not taking up most of our time, which is really frustrating. What do you think? So the tech and the IT, I'm guessing they're big learning curves for you.
Yeah.
Anything else that you've noticed that you didn't expect running your business?
The sort of the figures, the VAT, the PAYE, all the acronyms. HMRC, you know, could do without
SHIT.
I could do without the acronyms. That would be just fine. No, those are the sort of...
Yeah, no one likes those things.
No, of course they
I
don't.
hate doing corporation tax. It's one of my biggest headaches in the world. Yeah. But we have to. And especially creative people. If you're logical analytical, you've probably worked out that you can use some software system that does these things. I know, it's making you blur over, isn't it?
Exactly.
But as creatives, that sort of stuff is even quite... I asked my accountant the other day, is there some software I could buy or use that would make it easier to do expenses? And he went, oh, there's this thing called Xero or something. And I haven't even gone on the website. I know it would be really good. It'll solve loads of problems, but the thought of it just makes me feel a bit sick.
Yeah, no.
God, I know. This is where we want to get people to just take it away. Just do it all for me.
I have a really clever little thing where you just photograph. You photograph the bill.
Receipt.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get that clever thing from you because I haven't even got there yet. I've still got receipts stuffed in a bag somewhere that I have to pull together at some point. What frustrates you the most?
What frustrates me the most, sort of having to be organised, and that's not really what frustrates me the most. What does frustrate me the most? I get annoyed if people poo-poo my business and your business and these small businesses that are really the backbone of growth, because so I get really annoyed and frustrated about that.
Yeah, that resonates for me because everybody I'm speaking to is a small business owner, maybe not employing anybody,
but they're all
contributing.
Yeah, and so that frustrates me.
What do you do to stay focused? Because you described the fact that you're not organised.
Yeah, my daughter, who is very focused and very organised, will look at my desk and just go, oh, how can you work like that? And actually, I have to say, sometimes I look at it and go, how can I work like that? But I'm not focused, and I'm always doing lots of things at the same time, which is not good because then sometimes things get missed.
Yeah.
But I think that's the way I've always... That's the way I've always worked.
And do your gallery assistants, they recognise that and they can work around it?
They can, which is something to which I am very grateful to both of them, that they can deal with the chaos that I work in. I don't work in chaos. I'm being harsh on myself.
Well, I'm going to say, actually, you're being...
I'm being a bit self-deprecating.
You are a little bit, because
chaos.
your business is actually quite successful.
Exactly.
There's definitely not chaos.
It's not chaos. It's untidy. It is untidy. But no, they are, both of them. Grace and Eloise are just... They know how to deal with it, it's great. I really appreciate it.
And at what stage of the business did you start employing them?
So Grace has been with me for about 3 years and she's part-time. Eloise has been with me for almost 2 years. So she started off doing 1 day a week and then she joined me full-time last summer.
Oh, nice.
So that was good.
That's another reason for you to have that motivation. You were saying that you don't really like the mornings and you need things to get you down to your desk, but having people coming, that makes a big difference.
Exactly.
When we think about success and you think about, I don't know if you think about it even, because you sound like you're very organic in the way that you're doing this, and you're doing what you said you're going to do. It makes you happy. It's serving a real purpose for you in your life. But what does success look like? Is success now where you are right now, or is there something else that you are aiming for with the business?
I think you can't stay in one place. Things have got to keep evolving. You've got to keep growing. I love where I am now. It's wonderful. I feel really lucky to be doing something that I enjoy so much, meeting lots of interesting people, having great opportunities. So just like more of the same.
And do you go and do fairs or that? How does it work in your world in terms of getting the word out? Is it all word of mouth or is it and Instagram?
Word of mouth and Instagram. Do you know a thing called the Curated Store? Yes, they're in Stowe on the Wold, and I'm very grateful to them because they take a sort of revolving roster of people, and I've done several stints with them when I was first starting out, and that sort of gave me confidence that somebody wanted my paintings to sell in their shop, and that was a brilliant...
And did they contact you via Instagram?
Yeah.
See, yes. I just think Instagram for small businesses is
amazing.
Phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah. It is, and it's free.
But it's free, I know, but it's free from a monetary perspective. But I think a lot of people find the investment in time so challenging. Yeah. And there's partly it's time, but I think the majority of it is confidence.
Yeah. It's a beast, Instagram, that needs constant feeding.
I know.
And if you start obsessing about follower numbers or what other people are doing, it's just you have to make it yours and to do to use it in the way that you want to use it.
I look at yours, God, like you're dwarfing me. I'm such a baby in the kind of Instagram, and I work hard, but I have to say I've let go of worrying about those numbers because I actually look more at the engagement. For me,
Yes,
I'm a service. I'm telling people about things to do with this sort of coaching thing that I do. And I always find that if somebody said, oh, this has really made my day, or I needed that, for example, sometimes a lot of people say, I needed that. Thanks for that post. And I think, yes, that's what I set out to do. Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? We have to look at Instagram in the way that serves our business and what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, I think that's
otherwise it is quite
yeah.
And there are always people doing better, aren't there?
Of course there are, and that's fine because life is competition. There's always going to be competition.
Yeah, there is. What advice would you give somebody, if there is somebody listening to this who maybe has had the sort of the hiatus, they've been bringing up their family, and now the family are growing up and they're leaving home and they're sitting there feeling the same way that you were feeling, and they're thinking about doing something, what advice would you give them?
Just do it. I think just do it and don't. So I'm probably certainly 15 to 10 years older than most of the women in my sort of group of friends on Instagram, or like the girls the women who came for coffee yesterday and things like that. And occasionally I think, and then I think, oh, for goodness sake, it just doesn't matter.
No.
And so don't think about your age. Don't think you're past it. Don't think you can't do it. Just do, if you're lucky enough to have a passion or something that you can make into a passion, just be confident, believe in yourself. Don't listen to the imposter, because we all have that imposter syndrome thing. I think most women have that thing within us. Don't listen to it and just do it.
Yeah. Just go out there and start.
Yeah. Just, if you're frightened of, it sounds glib because I've done it now. If you're frightened of doing it, if you sit there and think, oh, what are people going to think? And are people going to judge me? And if you don't make that first step, you won't ever get anywhere. And that step can be difficult. And especially I sell a product, so it's maybe a bit easier. But if you're selling yourself, it's really hard to do that. But believe in yourself, believe in your skills and your qualities, and just be consistent and keep going. And hopefully you'll have a bit of luck, because luck helps.
Oh my God, definitely, 100%. But did you have that confidence before you started, do you think?
No.
That's what I'm saying, is that when we say just go for it, I think a lot of people, if I was in a client situation, I was coaching somebody and I said, look, tomorrow, why don't you just, for example, posting on LinkedIn? A lot of people have a fear about posting because the environment they feel it's too professional, it's quite hostile, there are old bosses on there following you and all that kind of stuff. And there is a lot of fear. And I'll say, just do it. Just wake up tomorrow, don't think about it and do it. And then we'll come back the week later and they'll say, oh, I didn't manage to do it. And I'm wondering, what was it? Was it the fact that you were driven by this passion to do something, to have this purpose, that you didn't want to cry anymore about the loss of your children to university? Was that what gave you the fuel, the rocket fuel to do it? Or was there somebody in your team, a friend, who just said, come on, Julia, just do it?
There wasn't, because it was lockdown. And I think maybe it was there wasn't that much to do in lockdown.
Yes.
So I did have time to spend a whole morning writing an Instagram post, or primping the photographs so that things looked right. So I had the benefit of time.
And the luck of lockdown, we could call it, couldn't we?
Yeah, exactly. So certainly lockdown gave me that, yes.
Yeah. Have you ever had any negative comments on your...
I've had a couple. So I did a post about art in artists' homes, their own homes, and I put a photo of Picasso.
Yeah.
So I got...
Oh, did that not go down?
No, because Picasso was such a fit with women. But was also a bloody good painter. So
I know. Let's look at any artist, shall we?
Exactly. And then I put, my market was my sort of branding. I have a lovely paper flower, which is part of the photographs.
Yeah.
And somebody wrote me an email saying, I really don't like the flower. It obstructs the painting. So I just said, well,
yeah, that's my
branding. And go to the second photograph and there's no flower. So no, I haven't been trolled or anything like that.
Because that's another fear. I think
that must be really unpleasant.
I always say curate your space, because if somebody's bothering me on Instagram, what they're putting out isn't something that I really want to see. You just unfollow them. But I think a lot of people don't do that.
Oh, really?
No, I noticed there's this morbid curiosity, and that keeps people following With the people that you've got in your kind of community, do many of them have stories like yours, that they've started businesses much later on? Because the expectation is with entrepreneurialism, everybody always sees it as a young person's thing, right?
Yeah.
And so why I wanted to do this podcast is I wasn't seeing that. I was seeing almost the opposite. I was seeing a lot of people stepping away or stopping what they were doing and starting things later. And I wondered whether it was because they suddenly felt confident, and also at 40, 50, 60 these days, you're not old anymore. Whereas like 30, 50 years ago, it felt like that was you're towards the end.
Yeah, I think there's, although society is quite ageist, on the other hand, it's become, I mean, look at the clothes we wear.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes, Julia is wearing, for the listeners, she is wearing a navy blue velvet suit, a pair of Adidas, and a very beautiful shirt and necklace. So I'm going to say, clothing has become quite ageless.
Exactly. And that is empowering for us. But more importantly, I think a lot of women, you work in the city, then you have a family, you still need and want, you need to earn money, you want a career to validate yourself.
Yeah.
And so women come up with compromises, which sometimes turn into the most wonderful businesses because it's their passion, or they work at it really hard, but they're working round their families.
Yeah.
And it's a completely new dynamic.
And I absolutely love this dynamic. This is the thing that people are saying, and certainly from the people I've interviewed, they're saying, I wanted to work, I had to work.
Yeah.
So mainly had to work.
To work because we've got to, you've got to earn.
Yeah, we've got to earn money. But I was prepared to, understanding that running a business is not easy.
Yeah.
And understanding that I will probably have to work weekends. I'll be thinking about it all the time.
And after the children are in bed, people work.
All of
women
that.
Work.
But I'll make that compromise because I get to go to watch the football match, and I get to go, and I don't have to tell anybody that I'm going. I just decide myself.
I just go.
Yeah, that's why I did this.
Yeah.
It was this kind of mine were becoming teenagers when I started the transition from being in a PAYE, another acronym, job, to what I do now. But it's hard because you go from earning a really good salary to zero, and you're building it up again, which takes time. It was actually longer than I expected. But the joy, the amazing thing is, if somebody says, can you do this with me on a Thursday?
You can do it.
I'll fit it all around that. And that makes me so
Even
happy.
if it means you have to work till midnight. And obviously my kids have gone now. I know a lot of women who do that. And so they have all the joy and pleasure of being really present in their children's lives and going to the football matches and the ballet shows and all that sort of stuff. But they've also they're earning money and they've got interesting careers.
And I wonder whether this is a lesson for corporates in the lack of, I guess things are more flexible since we've now got more flexible working. And I know many people with younger children are grateful for that. But I'm wondering whether there's a message there that so many women get held back in their careers because there is this perception that they're not fully focused because they're having children. But there's never that discussion with a man, and they're still having children too.
Yeah.
But it seems to fall on the women's, and this is the mental load that we saw during COVID, where they were homeschooled and the women were working and they were managing the children's homeschooling, and it was just creating this enormous kind of load that was ready to burst because so many women after that just said, sod this, it's just too much, I'm too exhausted, I'm too tired. But I'm wondering whether there needs to be a bit more flexibility to allow women to do this.
When I started in the city, I was one of the first, but there were very few women in the city. And so we've made so much progress. But on the other hand, there's so much, there's so much that needs to change for women to really be equal. And I think it is that unspoken thing that it's the woman, it's the mother who gets the ballet clothes ready, and it's the mother who makes sure that their stupid son hasn't left his football.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that some men don't do that, because I know there are men, there are single dads and there are married dads who run the family. So it's not, I'm not saying men can't do it or men do it, but in general, it is still the woman's responsibility.
But do you think that's because they've chosen to take that responsibility, or do you think it's an unspoken responsibility?
I think probably a bit of both.
See, I think there is definitely, I definitely took the responsibility.
Yeah.
Without having a discussion, I'm going to do that.
That was
I felt I was more reliable in that job.
You probably were.
So that's why I took it. But I'm wondering, I often say to people, have you had a conversation, sat down about who's going to do what?
Yeah.
And often, of course, it comes down to the fact that men earn more, therefore the priority for them is work and the women.
Yeah.
And so that hasn't changed either,
no.
has it? That makes me a bit sad in many ways. Sorry.
It is, and this was something, because it was in International Women's Day last week. It really made me think, actually, that, because I maybe previously or a long time ago, I would have poo-pooed the idea of International Women's Day because you don't have an International Men's Day. But actually, it's so important just to make people think about all those, or to make men think about all those things, really.
You're absolutely right. I went on a fantastic panel discussion. There was an awesome woman on this discussion. So really big job.
Yeah.
And whenever she does anything public speaking wise, and if it's about female leaders, she asks all her male team to come because she wants them to hear it.
Okay.
And I think that is really a beautiful thing, because they should.
Yeah,
they should hear what everybody's challenged by. And the challenges, like you say, they're huge.
Yeah.
Because we've not only got the children part of it, which does set your career back, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
Then we've got the menopause part of it, which now we're learning way more about it. And, what were women going a bit batty at a certain age in business, people are now understanding that, they're going through this enormous shift, which is, I can tell you, I'm really definitely struggling.
That's a long time ago. So.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being at your stage so I can look back on it and laugh.
Exactly. It comes eventually.
I'm not laughing now. I have a tradition on the show where I ask all my entrepreneurs to pass on a little bit more of their experience that they've had, so that anybody listening hopefully can take it, be motivated by it or inspired, or use it as a kind of barometer to help them if they're starting a business themselves. It's called the 3-2-1s. It's 3 things you've invested in that have been worth every penny, 2 things you wish you could have done differently, and 1 person you'd like to thank. So if we start with the 3 things that you've invested in that have been worth every penny, can you think of those?
Firstly, my website. I love my website.
That's good.
So it was developed by Elphick and Co, Catherine Elphick, and I just love it. I love the colour, I love the script, the way it's all. So that was definitely something.
And were you really clear about what you wanted, or was it that she had an amazing way of translating what you
knew what I wanted?
Yeah,
and she just got it. So that was great. So definitely my website, all my team of people. That's really, and I've mentioned them, but certainly the girls who work for me, my framer, my VAT, my business support guy, my email girl.
I do love your frames, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
The first things I noticed was that, I love the framing.
No, I try to not change the frames, but some of the prints and things I do need to be framed, and he and his team, they're great, so I'm very grateful to them. So people, I think that's very important. And then I have these lovely business cards which have a beautiful picture on the back. So that was quite an investment to get them designed and all the rest of it.
Are they larger than normal business cards?
I think they call them comp cards. They're like a postcard. And so I've got some blank ones which just have my Collins and Green details on them, so I can write.
Actually, somebody else mentioned this comp card idea, was that you have this business card plus note card in one.
Exactly. And that's really useful.
That's really good advice for anybody listening who sells products, because I do actually think that personal note, if you're able to do that, is a lovely thing.
Yes. So those are my 3 things.
2 things that you wish you could have done differently.
I would really have liked to have started earlier in a smaller way, but I know I could never have been. I work very hard and long hours, and to get to where I am, I couldn't have done that earlier and looked after the children. But I would have liked to have done it in a small way. That would have been quite fun. So that would have been.
You're not the first person to say that.
Oh, really?
No, Kirsty.
Did she say the same?
Buildagram,
okay, yeah.
Which I think anybody listening is episode 5. She said the same thing. She also came from bringing up her children to building her business, and she said, I just wish I'd done it earlier.
Why not? Yeah, exactly. So that's.
But I always think that the timing is the timing. And this is the message that I think is so important and key for everybody, is that, yes, you can look back when you've built something that you're really enjoying doing and say, I wish I'd started that earlier. Great. But maybe you weren't ready for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the idea wasn't there. The spark wasn't there. So, but that's maybe one thing. And it would have been quite nice, but now it's my baby, so it's too late. But in a way, to have worked with a friend who had completely different, opposite skill sets to me. So I have a great friend in Paris who never goes to bed without finishing everything on her to-do list.
Really?
And her desk is
spotless.
Absolutely spotless. So she and I would have been a
you'd
really
have been
good,
awesome together, wouldn't you?
that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
And that is also, I listen to a lot of people saying this, that they'd like to have a sort of yin and yang
Exactly.
business relationship, and I hear all of it, and I really resonate with that.
But I don't like being told what to do. So she would have to, we would have our territories.
But yeah, exactly.
But
perhaps if you have very defined territories, then you wouldn't have a
exactly.
reason to be told what to do.
Yeah. So
Maybe.
there we are.
Who knows?
Exactly.
One person you'd like to thank, and I always say ideally not your family. I know you're going to break the rules, Julia.
I am going to break the rules because my mother has to be the person. I know it's very boring to thank your mother, but really...
No, why is it boring?
I don't know. I don't think it's boring. That's why I'm doing it. But she was an amazing role model who devoted her life. She widowed very young, very beautiful French foreign in England, devoted her life to us. And then she herself set up 2 businesses. I suppose she must have been like me, about 65, something like that.
She set up her businesses?
Yeah, she set up a delicatessen. Well, she bought a delicatessen, which was already running. And then she decided it was boring selling food, so she started selling books. And so she ran a bookshop, a second-hand bookshop, a vintage bookshop.
Wow.
For about 10 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah, real inspiration. And always there for us when the shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So she's my
inspiration.
My
And what was
inspiration.
your mother's name?
She was called Marie-Jeanne.
Marie-Jeanne.
Yes.
That's a lovely... Oh. Well,
so-
here's to her.
Yeah, indeed.
And you're carrying on the tradition.
Absolutely.
It's been so great to speak to you. I'm really pleased that you agreed to do this. And I really hope that our conversation has inspired anybody who's sitting there thinking, oh, maybe it's too late. Maybe I won't do it now. Give it a go. That's what I really hope.
Well, thank you for having me. And honestly, it really isn't too late. Just, do it.
You heard it here. Thank you so much, Julia, for being on the Midlife Entrepreneur.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for tuning into the show. And if you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to click follow on your favourite podcast platform and leave a review. It really helps us reach more listeners just like you. Finally, if you're a midlife entrepreneur with an interesting story to share or would like to nominate a guest, you can do so via my email. All information will be in the show notes. See you next time.